Hi, everyone, and good morning. At least it's morning here in Minnesota in the United States, and I know you guys are kind of spread all over. So I want you to tell me, just to make sure that you can hear me, I want you guys to go over to the chat section on the right-hand part of your screen and push that chat button, and I want you to tell me where you're from and what time of day it is where you live. Okay, Philippines is here. You were here the other day too. Chicago, 9 a.m. Hi, Lauren from Chicago. Vienna, Philippines, it's 10 p.m. in the Philippines. Toronto, Canada. Quebec, 10 a.m. 4 p.m. in Poland. Oklahoma City. San Francisco, 7 a.m. Bright and early for you in San Francisco. Washington, 7 a.m. India, 7:30 p.m. I always think those times that are like the half an hour ones are so different because I never knew there were time zones that were kind of on the half an hour spot. So that's pretty cool. And Texas, hi Karen, Texas, 9 a.m. Danny, 9 a.m. Perfect. All right. So I hope you're all going to have a great day today, or that you have had a wonderful day. We're going to go ahead and get started. I have a lot of things to tell you guys today. And if you've listened before on these webinars, I tend to give a lot of information and go pretty fast. And I want you to walk away from the webinar feeling like you've learned some action steps that you can immediately take and incorporate into your own life to make your life better. And so I don't pack my webinars full of a bunch of fluff or anything. We try to kind of stick to the point. And also at the way end, I will stay on and answer as many questions of yours as we have time for. So if anything comes up, if I'm talking about anything or something pops in your head that you want to talk about, you can post it in that questions section, and you can also vote for other people's questions if there's one that you really want to make sure that I have time for. So we will do that at the way end. And I like it when you guys ask questions. That's great. I like it when you're engaged and learning, and if you guys want to kind of chat with each other, like that's fine too. So my goal is to develop this into kind of a following of people that not necessarily always listen to what I say, but also communicate among each other. That's what I want. And I want you guys to be able to encourage each other, to ignite your lives, and to do what matters, and be there to support each other along the way too. I want this to actually be a living, breathing community. And if anything at any time happens with your connection during this webinar, just log out and log back in, and that seems to be working for people. So this is a new webinar software that I've been trying over the past couple weeks, and it does seem like there's some people who will say, oh, I've lost my connection. Just log out, log back in if that happens to you. We haven't had any problems on this end, but that doesn't mean it's not a problem elsewhere. So just log out and log in if that happens to you. All right, so I want you guys to go somewhere quiet, be ready to take notes. And my goal is to give you better information for free than other people charge you for. So I really want you to come away from this feeling like you learned something today. All right, so who am I? And I'm just going to go over this a little bit because some of you are new here. My name is Carrie Petzinger. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and over the course of my career, I've worked with thousands of patients from terminally ill to Division I athletes. And mindset issues come up among physical therapy patients when they're in their rehab. You know, a lot of these people have had severe injuries or illnesses or disease processes that have greatly changed their lives. So when we're looking at therapy and we're setting goals as far as physically, what goals do they want to reach? There's mindset issues that come up, whether it's motivation or having trouble getting things done. You know, there are physical therapy exercises that I want them to do outside of therapy. It's making sure that they have a mindset that no matter what has happened in their life, that they still can have a good and productive life. Or if they're this very high level athlete, it's mindset as far as performance, peak performance issues. So mindset is one of my favorite things that I've had in my career as a physical therapist. And now I've used that and along with some other training, and I coach people now on mindset. So people in the general public, people who are entrepreneurs, and help people develop an incredible mindset, because mindset is the start to everything that you want in your life. It all starts with having this mindset. We're going to talk about that today. So no matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is, if you work on changing your mindset, you can change your life. And when you become the best version of you, you start a ripple effect. When you improve your life and you shine bright and you do what matters and you are living boldly and bravely and being the person that you were born to be, when you do that, other people around you see that. So you give them hope and permission to live that way too. And that changes them and the people around them and the people around them. So you really start a ripple effect by being the best version of you that can change the world. So ultimately, you can change the world by changing your mindset. That's how powerful working on your mindset is. So never underestimate the power of what you're doing when you are working on changing your life. Because I don't want you to ever feel like trying to make your life better is a selfish thing. When you make your life better, you change the world. You give other people hope and inspiration and encouragement that they can do it too. So working on being the best version of you is a great thing, and you start ripple effects all over the world. So today we're going to talk about mindset hacks to getting things done. And I want you to walk away from this webinar immediately knowing some little tricks that you can use in your own life to get more things done. So to build your dream life, you need to get things done. And that might sound obvious, but having big dreams and wanting to be successful isn't anything unique to you. Most people do want that in their life. So the key is going to be being able to take action and persevere. There's a lot of people who have big dreams and they start kind of chasing one, no matter what it is, whether it's healthy habits or starting to write a book or wanting to change jobs and starting to work on your resume. There's a lot of people who start, but being able to finish and actually get those things done, that's going to separate you and separate the successful people from the people that aren't making any progress. So ultimately, if you have huge dreams in your heart and you don't act on them and you don't finish them, that's pretty much the same end result as if you never even had that dream in the first place. So think about that too. If you have a dream in your heart and you have a longing in your heart to make your life better, to do something to change the world or make a unique impact, chase that, follow that. Pay attention to what interests you and what piques your interest, what turns your head, and learn more and more about that and follow that passion as far as learning that that is something that if there's a tug in your heart, pay attention and learn more about that path and follow it, make an actual plan for how you're going to make that happen and get things done. And I'm going to teach you how to get things done, how to persevere. So here are 10 of my favorite ways to get things done. So mindset hack number 1 to get things done is to streamline your life. So streamlining your life, that's the whole name of my website is yourstreamlinedlife.com. So streamlining your life is about focusing on what's important and getting rid of the crap that's in your way. So if you want to get things done, instead of just adding more and more and more to your life, start by decluttering your life. Start by getting rid of the things that aren't important to you. Okay. And the last webinar earlier this week, we talked entirely about 4 areas of your life to declutter. So if you want to listen to that, where I go more in depth about decluttering your life, you can. If you want access to any of the previous webinars, if you go through that link in your email, you can still sign up and book a ticket for those and go in and listen. And some of them, I hit record, like as soon as I start recording it, it starts recording the audio. There's no slides that actually were recorded, but it's just the audio that was the only thing that got recorded. So if you turn it on and you don't hear anything for a while, just fast forward till I start talking. But streamlining your life is the key to starting to get things done in your life. Get rid of what's not important. You can focus on what you really want to get done. Because if you're just adding extra goals or adding extra habits and adding extra things you want to do on top of your already stressful, busy day, that's just a recipe for disaster. So we need to cut back on what's not important to you. So here are just some statistics about empty activities. Here's some things that we do in our days. And this is an article from Benjamin Hardy. He's pursuing a PhD in psychology. And he says the average person spends over 9 years of their lives on checking social media and watching TV. Collectively, humanity spends 39,000 years on Facebook every single day. 39,000 years. 79% of people check Facebook within 15 minutes of waking up. 84% of cell phone users say they could not go a single day without their phone. And almost half of cell phone owners sleep right next to their phone because they don't want to miss anything while they're sleeping. So those are very, very huge numbers of people that are really, really connected to their social media, connected to TV, connected to Facebook, their phone. And, we live in a world where it is great to be able to connect with people and connect online. And it's awesome right now that you guys are listening to me and you're from all over the world. I think that's so cool. It's awesome that we're connected in that way. But however, if we look at, the average person, so there's people spending way more than this, but the average person, 9 years of your life checking social media and watching TV, that's like a full decade of doing things that don't actually truly matter in your life. I don't think any of us want to get to the end of our lives and be like, I am so glad I spent 9 years watching TV and, checking social media. I'm so glad I did that. That was just the best use of my time ever, was to just check Facebook. I'm so proud of myself for every day within 15 minutes of waking up, checking to find out what people did, yesterday with their days and where their kids went to school and what they had for breakfast. Like, that is not a way that any of us, I don't think, want to spend 9 years of our lives. So when you're working on, you want to accomplish a goal in your life, look at the empty activities you are doing. And you might feel totally busy and stressed, but I want you to very critically evaluate how you're spending your time. And you might not even be sure how you're spending your time. So just, why don't you take a little piece of paper and go about your day and make a little hashtag, like make a little line every time on that piece of paper when you check your phone or when you check Facebook, and you might be amazed at how many times you do it. I read an article the other day that said the average person checks their phone every 6 minutes and checks their phone a total of 150 times each day. So if you look at all those little things that we do during the day, if we can cut out some of those things, it doesn't mean we have to not have a cell phone, but if we can cut back some of that time that we're spent checking those things and doing those little things where we're really hyper connected to the world, if we can cut back on some of that to focus on what matters to us, that can make a huge difference in what we get accomplished in our lives. So that's hack number 1, is streamline your life. Mindset hack number 2 to getting things done is define your priorities. And I want you to really sit down and think about it. Think about what are your priorities in your life, because too often people spend their lives doing the things that aren't as important to them. Okay, so we spend our lives working really, really hard for the huge house with a big mortgage, with a car payment, with the really nice clothes, with everything that society says we need. And we neglect what matters most to us, time connecting with our friends and our family and reaching the goals that we really want to reach. So critically evaluate your life and really think about what are your wants, what are your needs, and what truly are your priorities in your life. Because if you can be very successful according to society, but if you're not living your true priorities, it's very tough for you to feel fulfilled. So really think about what your big goals are. What do you want to accomplish? What is it that made you want to listen to this webinar today? What do you want to get done that you've been struggling to get done? When you have a big goal, you're going to need to make sure that that goal lines up with your priorities. If it's not something that's super important to you, why do you even have that goal in the first place is a question you can ask yourself. Because I want you to make sure your big goals line up with what your priorities are and the person you want to become. And when you have that strong, personal, meaningful reason behind what you want to accomplish and it lines up with your priorities, you're going to be that much more likely to reach your goal. So sit down and really think about what are your priorities in your life? How are you living your life now? And how can you get more things done related to what's important to you? Okay, mindset hack number 3. This is one of my favorite things, and I say this all the time, is eat the frog. So Mark Twain said, eat a live frog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. So the longer you procrastinate something, the scarier it becomes. So get up, eat your frog, and then move on with your day. No matter what your frog is. If your frog is, you know, you want to work out, or if your frog is, you are like 85% of the people in the world who want to write a book. 85% of people want to write a book. And few people actually sit down and get that book written. If you're one of those people in the large majority who want to write a book, set a goal to eat the frog first thing in the morning and wake up. And I don't care if you write 2 sentences a day, or if you sit down and write for 5 minutes a day, or if you kind of make an outline one day. Sit down, put pen to paper, and start getting it done. Eat the frog, and then walk away from it and do the other things you need to do for the day. If you do what scares you right away in the morning, you don't have to dwell on it all day long. So we all know how it feels where if you have something scary going on at like 7 p.m. and you have an event you're nervous about, or a meeting or something that's just making you nervous, or if it's something, if you've had a busy work day and you know that you made plans to work out that night, you think about it and you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, and it turns into this bigger thing that gets more overwhelming, and it looks even scarier the more your day goes on. So set your alarm, get up in the morning, eat your frog, and get it done and move on with your day. That's one of the best ways to just get things done. So here is another one of my favorite ways to get things done. So I put a little graph in here for you. And this is a graph of Parkinson's law. So Parkinson's law shows, if you can see down on the bottom part, going sideways, the horizontal axis is time, and then the vertical is effort. So what this shows is that when you decrease the amount of time you have to do something, you skyrocket your effort. So I want you to think about if someone calls and says, hey, can I stop by your house in 15 minutes? If you're anything like me, you are like a tornado trying to get your house clean and make it crazy clean within those 15 minutes. And it's amazing. It might have been messy, all week long, but if someone says they're coming over in 15 minutes, you can just skyrocket your effort and get it done. Or you think about when you were in school and when you had to take a test, and you might have known that that test was coming for 2 months. But finally, the night before the exam, you're cramming and you are so productive and just soaking in all that information from your book, because there's pressure on your time. When we have less time to do something, we skyrocket our effort. So to use Parkinson's law in your own life, give yourself deadlines. Make deadlines for yourself. So I use this all the time. I use it to make this PowerPoint. Yesterday, I used Parkinson's law on myself. I gave myself a deadline to launch my first online course. Or you can give yourself, if you want to be more healthy and you want to start an exercise habit, give yourself a deadline and sign up for a 5K or another event where you have to accomplish a certain amount of training before you get that event done. I use Parkinson's law with my household tasks. I'll set a timer and get things done. So I use Parkinson's law for very big goals and very small goals. I encourage you to consider using Parkinson's law in your own life too. If there's something you really want to get done, set a deadline on it and make it happen, and skyrocket your efforts to make it happen by that deadline. And you can work rewards into your life too, where you say, you know what, I'm going to train for this 5K and put a deadline on when I need to be at a certain fitness level to make this happen. And I'm going to train for this 5K, and it's going to happen 3 months from now. And after that, I'm going to reward myself with something. So tie in your deadlines and what you accomplish with something rewarding and meaningful that you'll like to do to make it more likely for you to get that done also. All right, mindset hack number 5 is define your goal very specifically. So I don't want you to have vague, fluffy goals like, I want to be healthy. Okay, that's good. I mean, it's good to want to be healthy, but being healthy means different things to different people. If you say you want to be healthy, does that mean you want to lose 20 pounds? Does it mean you want to be able to run a mile in a certain time? Does it mean that you want to get more sleep? Does it mean that you just want to feel better? You want to feel more balanced? Does it mean that you want to have a regular time set aside to do yoga every day? What does being healthy mean for you? So set it very, very specifically. The more objective it is and the more measurable it is, the more you know what you have to do to achieve that goal. If you just say, oh yeah, someday I'd like to run a marathon. that's not specific enough because I wanted to have a timeline on it too. So as you're defining your goal very specifically, make it measurable and give it a timeline. Someday is not a good timeline. Someday means that you're not putting a timeline on it, that you don't care much about that goal to actually commit to it. So define your goals very specifically and then set a timeline to it. And then after you do that, break it down into small daily action steps. So there's no guesswork on whether or not you're on track to meet the goal. Okay. If you know that you want to run a marathon and you say, okay, 12 months from now, exactly 1 year from today, I'm going to run a marathon. Okay, perfect. So look online, there's great training programs, find one so that you know every single day what you need to do to be on track. And if you're setting a different kind of goal, say you are one of those people who want to write a book. Okay, so look at, you want to write a book and you want to have that done a year from now. So what do you need to do this week? What do you need to do this month? What do you need to do today to be on track to meet that goal? Take the guesswork out of it so you don't know, so you don't guess what you have to get done every day. You just know every single step you need to get done. All right, mindset hack number 6 is find an accountability partner. So accountability partners are great. And I say this a lot, but one of my 2 favorite things in order for you to make massive changes in your life are to change your mindset and to surround yourself with people who will make it difficult for you to fail. Those are like the 2 biggest life hacks ever. If you change your mindset and you surround yourself with a tribe of supportive, encouraging, inspirational people, you can do so many more things and make a much bigger impact with your life and really become the person that you want to be. If you have this tribe of people that are encouraging you, they're lifting you up on the days that are tough, because there will be tough days, that is going to make all the world of difference to you. So when you find an accountability partner, I want you to think about someone who can help keep you on track towards your goal. And they don't even have to have the exact same goal as you. Maybe they're reaching toward a different goal in their life, but you're both trying to do something. Well, have that person, check in with that person on regular intervals, and you be supportive to them, have them be there to support you, and just carry each other, help lift each other's burdens, and just help be there for each other and give each other support and encouragement, because you're both going to need it. And it's awesome to have accountability partners. The other thing is that I want you to think about protecting who you tell about your goals. So there's a TED Talk that talks about this, and I have a note in here that I was going to give you guys the link to the TED Talk. So I couldn't find it again. I couldn't find the link that I was looking for, but there is a TED Talk that talks about how this guy has done some research now about goals, and he talks about, and this is the first time that I had ever heard this information, but he talks about how when you set your goals, if you go and tell everybody what your goal is, you actually get like this hormone rush, the same amount of it as you would if you actually reached your goal. So his recommendation was be careful of who you tell your goals to, because if you go and you just say, yeah, I'm going to accomplish this big, huge thing, it's going to be awesome, and you post it all over Facebook and you tell everybody and you're on the phone with everyone, you're emailing everyone, you're so excited about your goal, and you tell the whole world, you actually get the physical hormone rush that you would get if you actually went out and reached that goal. So, and this is the first time, this is like cutting edge research. This is the first time that I had heard this, because it actually makes you think, maybe I need to tell just a few people that are really close to me, that are going to be my tribe and my accountability partners, rather than kind of blabbing my goal to everybody right away, and to make sure that you get off the ground and you start making meaningful progress, and that you're going to actually tackle this goal before you announce it to the world. So that's something I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. It's different research than I had heard in the past. So it's kind of new, but I just wanted to bring it up to you and just tell you, this is kind of some of the latest things that are being talked about as far as goal setting right now. Yeah, Lauren, I thought it makes sense too. It was interesting to me too. So yeah, that's what I want you to I'll if I find that TED Talk, I'll send an email out and tell you guys what it is, but just be aware of when you're looking for accountability partners, look for someone who, can help support you along the way. And I want you to build a tribe of supportive, encouraging people, but just beware of telling your goals to the whole world before you actually start to make some progress. All right, mindset hack number 7 is plan how you'll get through the middle. So I want you to have a plan in advance for how you're going to deal with the tough days. Oftentimes the middle is the hardest part of reaching a goal, okay? Because when we are at the beginning, we are super excited, we're ready to go, we're feeling all motivated and inspired, and we want to change our lives, and it's awesome when we're at the starting line, right? Because we're so fired up, and we set these big goals, and we're determined to make it happen. And at the end, we can see the finish line, that the light of the tunnel is in sight, and we can see that we're almost there. So that gives us that extra boost of motivation to finish, right? It's the middle that sucks. The middle is the hardest part. It's horrible. It's so hard. No matter what your big goal is, you're going to have days that it's hard to persevere. You're going to have days that you feel tired. You feel unmotivated. You didn't get good sleep at night. You ate like crap and you feel like junk. Work is super busy and stressful, and that gets in the way of your goal. The middle is the hardest. So when you are setting out on a trek to accomplish something big, I want you to plan in advance how you're going to deal with the middle. Okay, Bill, thank you, Bill. Bill just posted a link to the TED Talk. Thank you. That was awesome. So plan in advance. How are you going to deal with the tough days? How are you going to deal with the days that you feel tired, that you feel unmotivated? When a sports team is going to play up against another team, the coaches study what they're up against so they can plan how they're going to attack that other team, how they're going to beat that other team. The same with you. When you have a goal and you want to get there, you need to consider what are the barriers in the way of your victory and plan in advance. How are you going to succeed? How are you going to make this happen? What is your strategy to attack this and to be victorious over your barriers? That's what we need to think about doing too. So I really want you guys to think about doing that is kind of plan in advance. How are you going to deal with the tough days? What are you going to do on the days that you don't feel like accomplishing your goal? And one thing I had, this was another TED Talk that I had listened to recently, but he was talking about how he actually planned a little speech for himself for when he is feeling unmotivated and feeling when you're in that kind of in that slump, when you're just not feeling up to it. And how do you get yourself kind of out of that funk? How do you get yourself moving again? So he actually kind of made a little speech to himself so that when he is in that funk, he can say, okay, okay, Carrie, okay, Bill, okay, Lauren, I know that you're tired. I know that you don't feel like this today, but it's going to be awesome when you get this done, and you can get up and do this because you've done it every day the last couple months. You can keep going. So actually to make an encouraging little talk to yourself. So that might sound cheesy, but if you can kind of make this little pep talk to yourself, that can be really helpful. All right, John. So John said, this plan doesn't need to be specifically goal-oriented. You can have a plan to handle any funk no matter what the reason. And that's very true. It does not have to be specifically goal-oriented. You are right, John. No matter what that funk is, no matter what your slump is, you do need a plan to handle any funk. So yes, absolutely. All right, mindset hack number 8 is to do one thing at a time. So we all try to multitask, but research shows that none of us are good at it, okay? If we can really focus our attention on one thing at a time, we're going to get more done. So anytime that you are interrupted, there's a psychological switching of gears that actually takes place, and it can take you 23 to 45 minutes to return your focus to original task. And that was from an article by Tim Ferriss. He said that higher number toward that 45 minutes. And then another research article showed lower toward that 23 minutes. But either way, that's a big amount of time that shows that anytime we're interrupted, it takes us a long time to focus our attention back to that level that we were previously at. So I want you to really work on focusing when you want to accomplish something. And one of my favorite ways to do this is called the Pomodoro technique. And I saw one of you made a little comment about that in the questions. You kind of answered your own questions about the Pomodoro, but Pomodoro technique, you set a timer for 20 minutes and you focus on just one task for those 20 minutes. And anytime something else pops in your head that you should be doing, you just make a little note of it and then you go back to your task. When the timer dings, then you take a 5-minute break and then you go back and do another cycle and then another cycle. So really work on focusing one thing at a time. If you have a big goal and you want to get things done, do one thing at a time. So mindset hack number 9 is to make decisions from the point of future you. So when I say future you, I mean a future version of yourself. A future you is the best possible version of you down the road who has achieved your big goals, who's achieved your dreams, who is kind of this ideal you. So think about who you want to be, this future you, and make decisions from that viewpoint. And that can help you get a lot more done now. So use the concept of the future you to drive your actions today. And what I mean by that is, so say you have a little bit of free time this weekend. Does future you want you to get something done that's meaningful to you? Or does future you want you to have a binge fest on Netflix? Or does future you want you to take your whole weekend up with a ton of busy tasks, but they're not important at all to you? They're things that you could really dump and get rid of in your life and nobody would notice, those just kind of those empty activities? Or does future you want you to make progress on something meaningful? How does future you want you to act today in your relationships, in your career, in your free time, today, tonight, this weekend? What does future you want? So future you is something that's another thing, you guys. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it seriously makes a big difference. And I use this a lot, this kind of concept with coaching clients when we're talking about, what do they want to get done now? It's looking at who do you want to be? Where do you want to get to in your life? Who's this person you want to be? Or how successful do you want your business to be? Or what do you want your life to look like in the future? Like, what are your big goals for a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And looking at what does that future person want you to do right now in your life? Does future you want you to stay at this job, this soul-sucking job that you have for years and years? Or does future you want you to have the guts to write your resume today and write an awesome cover letter and get some interviews for something different? So what does future you want you to do now? And you'll often find that future you wants you to do something that stretches you out of your comfort zone now. And that's great, because anytime that we're growing, we're stretching, we're reaching to new heights, it requires us to step out of our comfort zone. So future you is going to want you to take those steps that you're scared of doing. And that's awesome. So think about making decisions from the point of future you when you're thinking about how to act today. And mindset hack number 10 is to go all in. So when you have something that you want, if you want to get things done, you need to fully commit and be all in. So here's an example of that. If you want to lose 20 pounds and you are going to have to give your coworker $1,000 if you don't lose that weight, you're going to find every way you can to lose those 20 pounds. So go all in. And I'm not suggesting that you go tell all your coworkers that you're going to pay them thousands of dollars, but find a way, whatever that means to you, find a way to be all in. Commit. If you want to get in shape, sign up and pay your fee to do that 5K or run that marathon. Commit. Actually commit. Find a way for you to be all in and go for your goal. So one book that I love about kind of taking massive action is called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And he talks about kind of being all in, taking massive action, committing to taking massive action. He talks about the difference between success and failure is that to be successful, you're going to have to do the things that other people won't do. And to anticipate that things are going to be harder than you expect and they're going to take longer than you expect. That's just how it is. So if you want some tips to take massive action in your life, read the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. It's a very intense book, but it will totally light a fire in you and just make you want to take that massive action to make a big difference in your life. So find a way to go all in, fully commit to your goals. None of this wishy-washy kind of half in stuff where you're kind of like, someday I might do that, or yeah, a couple months from now, I'd like to have this happen. Find a way to fully commit to your goal. I went to an entrepreneur conference recently, and the speaker was talking about how he was saying 99% is hard and 100% is easy. And if you think about that, when he was talking, his example was he was trying to give up chocolate, and he was doing a great job, hadn't eaten chocolate any day for like a long time. And then he was sitting next to a bowl of like chocolate covered peanuts one day during a meeting. And he was looking over at him and he's like, I should just have one. But he knew if he's kind of 99% committed and he just, eats a little bit of it, he's going to end up devouring the whole bowl. So be 100% committed to your goal. Go all in with your goals. So thank you for being here today. Nobody can change the past, but you really can start today and create a great ending to your story. Martin Luther King said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. All right. So someone wrote a comment, it's so hard to get out of your comfort zone. It's so scary, especially what other people will say. And that is true. It's scary to get out of your comfort zone. And that's why it's called a comfort zone. It's uncomfortable to get out of it. One thing that really helps is the more that you discover who you really want to be, what lights you up, and the life that you want to live, the less you care what other people are going to say about you. So that's something, the more that you're authentically living the best version of you and living this really authentic life where you're brave and bold enough to do what really lights you up, it's like you don't notice as much if people care. What we tend to really notice what people are thinking about us, especially if we're living a life where it doesn't completely line up with our strengths, or we chose our life path for the wrong reason. So maybe you chose your career path. Maybe you've been really, rising up the corporate ladder ranks for a long time and you built this very, very successful career according to society standards, but it doesn't make you happy. And you chose that path because you wanted this prestige, you wanted the money, you wanted the power, like you wanted some of those things that society looks at as these great things, and you're stuck and unfulfilled and unhappy. You're going to be struggling, chances are, with when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, or when you're going to be a lot of times kind of worried about what people think, because you've built this whole life based on what people think. You want people to think a certain way of you. The more that you align your life with what lights your soul up and what your true path and purpose are and your passions in life, the more you get aligned with that and become that best version of you and totally shine, that's when you really don't care quite as much what people are saying or thinking, because you're just so jacked up and excited to be you and to live the life that you're building. You're building it authentically. You're doing what matters, and it doesn't matter what people think. And you'll realize too that other people have different strengths, interests, and talents, and not everyone is going to believe exactly in what you're doing or resonate with what you say, and that's totally fine. All right, so here is a comment. Fofo says, I can't concentrate on one idea. So that's hard. People tend to come, when I do coaching with them, they either come a lot of times in two forms. One type of person has no ideas of what they want to do. And another type of person comes at me with tons and tons of ideas. So the fact, if you have trouble concentrating on one idea, first of all, I will say that's awesome that you have ideas to begin with. That's great. But what I want you to think about is, what are the things that totally line up with you becoming the best version of you? Because we can have a lot of great ideas, but ultimately, what path do you want to choose based on what idea will allow you to become that best version of you? So think about that. And also, one thing that I like to do Hey, Trippy, you're welcome. Thanks for listening. One other way to deal with the I can't concentrate on one idea is to sit down and actually write out all your ideas. And I heard this in a book once, but you write out your ideas and then you pick the one that you want to focus on now. You just pick and you put all the other ones in a jar or put those ideas somewhere safe because then you know that you're not going to lose them. And then what you do is you start going down the path that you picked and you start working on becoming this best version of you and focusing on this idea. And two things can happen. Either that idea doesn't go like you wanted it to, or you kind of get bored of it, or you lose interest, or you complete it and you want something else. Well, then you can pull the other ones out of your jar. Or you get so excited and focused on the idea you actually have and the one that you chose that you don't even care about the other ones anymore. So I understand what you're saying and your concerns about, not being able to concentrate on one idea. I tend to be like that too, where I have a whole bunch of ideas and it's hard sometimes to concentrate and to pick. But I got to a point in my life where I realized that I could have millions of ideas every single day, but ultimately, unless I picked, I was never going to have time in my life to get them all done. So at some point, you have to choose a path and start following one idea. That's the only way you'll ever make it to all your ideas. Because I always kind of felt like, well, if I pick one idea, then what about the rest of my ideas? The other ideas just die. And what if they were good ideas? Unless you start moving forward on one idea, you will never have time to get to all your ideas. So start working on one. All right. And then another question, what if I don't know what kind of life specifically I want for myself in the future? I've been trying since the last webinar. That is a great question. And I want you to know that I think it's awesome that you are trying to decide, what the life is that you want for the future. It takes time and it takes intensive self-discovery. This is a process, I really committed to really kind of learning the person that I really wanted to be and who I really was and what my strengths and passions were. When I fully committed to that, it still took a long time for me to really figure that out because it's a process of self-discovery plus experimenting and getting out and learning the different things that you like and what you don't like and what lights you up and what sucks your energy. It's self-discovery and reflection plus experimentation. So there's some specific strategies that I used to discover exactly what I wanted to do. And I teach you those in this group coaching program. That's something that we go over is kind of developing this crystal clear vision of what you want in the future. I can teach you exactly how to do that, how I did that. And how do I know my priorities? Since I have multiple things like dancing, singing, piano playing, composing songs, and research, and I don't know which one to take out and just focus on a few to make massive progress. So how do I know what are the things that I should do? So the thing that I see, research is different than the other ones, but with all the other ones, I do see kind of this theme with the dancing, singing, music, composing. Like there's a lot of kind of similarities there. So that's awesome. That's something too. I would love to see you in the group program because we can hone that, kind of narrow that down for you and kind of figure out what kind of path do you want. One way that I talk about finding what path you want to actually pick is to think about the lifestyle that you want to live. Okay, so not just what's the job that I want to do or what's the career that I want to pick, but what do you want your ideal day to look like? What is your lifestyle that you want to have? There can be careers you're really interested in or paths you want to take, but you know that if you become really successful at a certain path, it's not going to give you the ideal lifestyle that you want. So what people do often is they pick a path and not think about what is this going to do to my schedule? What is this going to do to my days? How are my days going to look? So that's how the majority of college kids, you pick a major, you pick a career path, and then you try to put your life around it. Okay. You try to pack your life into your evenings and your weekends and your 2 weeks of vacation a year, right? Instead, we need to be sitting down and saying, what does my ideal life look like? What does an ideal day look like to me? What is my ideal schedule? What is it that I want my hours in my day to look like? And what path can I choose that lights me up, that uses my strengths and talents and my passions and fits into this ideal life that I want to live. So you come at it from kind of a different angle than we normally choose to do. I want you to look at it from this different angle of what do I want my life to look like, and then fit your path into that. All right. And then Lauren has a question. How do I stick with new healthy habits? So Lauren, what I would say is go all in and do that mindset hack number 10. Find an accountability partner and also make it difficult for yourself to fail. So you're talking about healthy habits. So if you're talking about, eating and exercising, because that's a lot of times what people are talking about when they're saying healthy habits. So what I want you to do is take one small habit at a time and create a system around that habit that'll help you be healthier. So what I mean by that is this is what most people do. Okay, most people set New Year's resolutions the beginning of the year and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to do all this awesome stuff. I'm only going to eat healthy food. I'm going to drop weight. I'm going to hit the gym every day for the rest of my life. And it's going to be awesome. This is my year. I'm taking charge. And they don't take in consideration all the habits that go into all those things you need to do every day. So what I want you to do is when you think about developing healthy habits and you want to stick to them, start with one little habit at a time. So you want to be healthier. So start first with drinking a glass of water before breakfast. Okay. And you do that. And you drink a glass of water before lunch. You can drink a glass of water before supper. So say you start with drinking this glass of water before you're going to eat. Make that your first habit and try that for a week or so. And then see, is it working? Is it not working? And if it's not working, why? What do you need to do to make it happen? What do you need to do to make it easier for you? And then look at the next thing. So the next thing is snack time at work. Say that 3 p.m. you're usually getting a little tired. You're feeling that little slump at work and you find yourself, going to the vending machine and eating something kind of junky. Look at that habit. So 3 p.m. comes, you feel tired, you feel like you want some junk. Go over and talk to a coworker for 2 minutes and have a little break. Like talk to your coworker for a little bit and store peanut butter and bananas in your desk so that you can go back and have a little healthy snack. So make it so that you're not walking by the vending machine and you're going to get energized by talking to a coworker. So that can be the next little habit you address. And then you can address a little habit of breakfast and working on starting with a healthy breakfast. So what are the systems that go into that habit? Well, it's looking at, buying the food in the first place and getting your groceries. And if you're able to pick out healthy foods, and if you find that you're going to the grocery store when you're starving, then order your groceries online so that you can make good choices. And look at how are you going to make it so that your breakfasts are healthy? Well, what do you need to prepare the night before every day? So can you set it up the night before so that you have a healthy breakfast pretty much automatically ready for you when you pop out of bed in the morning? So that's what I recommend doing, Lauren, is really taking to make healthy habits stick. Find an accountability partner, go all in, and make it difficult to fail by creating small systems around the habits and taking one very, very small habit at a time to work on. The other thing you can do to make it difficult to fail is to, I talked about this in one other webinar, but one thing I like to do is like, if I'm going to work out in the morning, I'll take a shower the night before and throw on clean workout clothes and put my workout shoes and my car keys, everything right next to my bed. So the next morning when I get up, it's like, well, when you don't feel like going, you just feel like lounging a little bit. It's like, well, I'm already in my workout clothes and there's my shoes and my keys, so I better go. Plus, I told my husband I was going to get up and go, so I better go and get this done. So you have that accountability partner. You make it difficult to fail, and you just go all in. All right, so I hope that helps. And then how to concentrate on a particular task without getting distracted. So that's something that I like to do. And I mentioned this earlier, but I love the Pomodoro technique. I love it. Set that timer for 20, 25 minutes. Focus on one task during that time. And what you do is every time you notice that you're distracted and another thought pops in your mind of something you should be doing, make a little note of what that was, go back to your task and get it done until the timer goes off. What you'll find, the more you use that Pomodoro technique, the less things you'll be writing down on that piece of paper because you'll learn better and better focus and concentration. Also, shut off any notifications on your cell phone, shut off that Facebook notification, shut off any pop-up things that come up on your computer. When you want to really focus, get rid of those distractions because it shows, research shows it takes us a lot of time to psychologically switch gears and get our focus back after distractions. Another thing is to just, get things done at hours of the day where other people aren't around you. So if you're getting distracted by other people, if you can look at switching your work hours even a little bit, even a half an hour one way or the other, so that you're able to get some things done without those distractions, or switching your lunch time. So there's kind of a variety of ways to deal with that depending on what your distractions are. And then the question says, what if I think that the certain thing isn't worth getting done even though I know it must be done? What should I do? So if it's something that must be done, if it's something that has to get done in your life, either you have to do it or you have to be able to be at the point where you are delegating it. Okay. So what I want you to do is either, if it's possible in your life, you delegate the things that have to be done that don't specifically have to be done by you. Or you work on getting the things you have to get done as efficiently as possible. So if you know something has to be done and it has to be done by you and you don't like to get it done, work on developing a system to make that thing as easy on yourself as possible. And you can also work on combining that task with something that you do enjoy. So say for me, one of the things that takes a lot of time, I have 3 kids ages 3 and younger. So one of the things that takes a lot of time is our meals, because it's crazy because we have little kids all over. And I want to be either working on my business or playing with my kids or going to see therapy patients. Like there's a lot of things that I would rather be doing than be in the kitchen for hours every day. So one thing that I do now is I get together with a friend like every 6 weeks. We cook up a whole bunch of meals, freeze them for each family, my family and her family. And then I just pull them out every day so that we just have food there. So that's something I've combined that task with friend time. So I get a whole day of hanging out with my friend and we do it all together, and it's like social time, but yet we're getting things done that we don't really like to do. And it makes it so much more enjoyable. Plus it saves me a ton of time during the week. So look at every area of your life. When there's things you have to get done and you don't really like to do them, how can you make them as efficient as possible? And how can you combine it with something that you find enjoyable that can make those tasks much easier for you? All right, so now we have some comments. Let's see. Thank you. First time here. Thanks for valuable advice. You're welcome, guys. I'm glad you've liked it. Thanks for answering my questions. Very helpful. I actually share it to my friends. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so thank you guys so much for being here today. When you change your mindset, you really, really do change your entire life. It changes everything. It changes your outlook. It changes your attitude. It changes how you're able to deal with fear and all those barriers. It changes how you schedule your days. It changes the work that you choose to do and how fulfilling you feel with the work that you're doing. It changes your relationships. It changes your abundance, like your financial picture. It all starts with mindset. So thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy lives today to hop on this webinar with me. And because when you change your mindset, you really do change the entire world. You start that ripple effect that changes everything. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a great day or great evening, depending on where you are in the world. And thank you guys so much. There's going to be another free webinar on Tuesday, another mindset webinar, kind of on a mindset kick right now. So we're going to kind of tie things up with one more webinar on next Tuesday. Okay, have a great rest of your day.